Act 3 is yet another feast of melody and action. So we are here in the mountains. The Spanish mountains, crags, peaks everywhere, stone, and these are wild mountains. It's the wilderness. If you know the repertory of the Spanish operettas, the zarzuelas, this is where El Gato Montes would live, the mountain cat, the hero of El Gato Montes, the zarzuela. So here in the mountains, we can expect wildness to occur. And this is several weeks after the end, the ensemble that ends Act 2. And Carmen is chapping at the bit. She is sick of being tied down with one man. And we find out that José has his darker side has emerged. He's deeply jealous and he's violent. And when she threatens to resume her occupation as prostitute, he calls her putain, you slut. He is a violent man, emotionally violent and physically violent. We see that very clearly. So, the women, Carmen and her two friends, Mercedes and Frasquita, smugglers and friends of hers, have a wonderful trio, which is full of fantasy and fatalism. And you will have a hard time finding more beautiful, contrastive elements in a trio. I urge you to look at it in detail and notice the contrast between Carmen's dark seriousness and the frivolous fantasies of Mercedes and Frasquita. Bizet is wonderful at contrasting things. This moves to an aria by the naive, innocent character who is coming to look for José. So Micaela's aria is also an aria of action and character. It is absolutely true to her character. It's deeply moving. In fact, it's a prayer. It's a prayer interrupted by her deep fear that she has lost José to Carmen, which is in fact the case, although she doesn't know for sure until later in the act. So she has this magnificent aria, which features the French horn and the cello in patterns. Listen carefully to this aria. It is one of the most heartrending and lovely in all of opera. And remember, it is in fact a prayer. This leads, after Escamillo again appears, and he and José have a fight. This precipitates, in part, this tremendous finale. In all of opera literature, you will have trouble finding a finale this magnificent. We will have a rival in Giuseppe Verdi's La Traviata, but this one is so powerful. And it is at this point that the erotic attraction of José for Carmen and the earlier attraction of Carmen for José comes to a head, and he threatens her life. Now, José in this finale will be torn between two women. Carmen here, whom he is obsessed with, and Micaela here, who represents his mother and his homeland and his past. So he is torn to pieces here by both these forces, the forces of darkness, the forces of light, and he is called back to his homeland to be at the deathbed of his mother. And he goes with Michaela not out of love for her, but very bitterly, and leaves Carmen to her fate, which is to go to Seville and become involved with the bullfighter Escamillo. And it is there, in Act 4, after the death of José's mother, that he comes to seek her in Act 4. And that is where Eros becomes Thanatos. Passion, sexual passion, becomes death.